There's something about an unbroken ridgeline. Two dots no one's ever connected before. A puzzle of peaks waiting to be solved. The White Clouds. Wild, remote, overlooked by Idaho's famous sawtooths to the west. No guidebooks, no established route, just 10 unnamed white cloud peaks, lined up like sentinels across the range. These summits have seen few recorded ascents. No real beta, marginal ratings, lots of speculation. Ryan and I came here with a simple plan. Start at one end, finish at the other, and trust that the line I drew on a screen will hold up in reality. 5 days of food, no backup, no resupplies, just us and the ridgeline. We don't know what we'll find. We've never been here before, but that's the whole point. Because this route didn't exist until now.
This marks the end of our trail. It's now just totally up to us to make whatever's to come. The unfortunate thing about this entire trip is we're going to be battling lightning and afternoon thunderstorms. Thought we were in the clear with a little bit of rain this evening, but Ryan has used his inReach to get us a weather reading, and unfortunately, starting at 11, there is a thunderstorm warning. So now the hard decisions really have to be made, because you don't want to sit around and waste time and then see nothing happen. But you also don't want to find yourself on top of a mountain when it does start happening. So Ryan is spying WCP3. We've got 2 across that chaotic ridgeline. And first but foremost will be 1, which you can't actually see from the saddle, but is back this way.
1 was really cool because there was that first teaser of like all the white rock that was to come.
Yeah, so it's cool to see almost instantly why the namesake White Clouds. Top of White Cloud Peak 1. Woo! So anyways, we got to the top. We're happy to see there's a register there, one of the few registers on the entire trip.
1 entry in 21.
2 and 22, 2 and 23, 3 and 23, that's it.
Wow, first summits of 24? Amazing. Not soon after, that's when the thunder rolled in, and if you know anything about lightning danger in mountains, if there's thunder, it's kind of already too late. So the dilemma with thunder and lightning is our safest option is to retreat, while our entire traverse stands on the ridgeline.
It seemed to stop. Blue sky kind of came out and we're like, okay, you know, it's over, let's go back up. So regained the ridge, started heading up 3, and that's when just out of nowhere Storm 2 came through, and instantly it was booming thunder, hail started dumping, and we just turned around and started hightailing down, and that's when lightning strikes started actively happening around us, which, you know, at that point I was like, oh, we should probably go all the way down. So all the way back down we went, back to the basin, and that's when we realized we were gonna have to at least add another night to our trip, because we're not getting all these summits done on the timeline of only having 1 summit done on day 1.
It's the unfortunate truth about climbing up on high ridges. We'll do the early start to reclimb everything we already climbed up there, do 3 and push onward. All right, to make up time from yesterday, up at 3, now moving at 4:30. It's gonna be a huge and exciting and fun day. All right, we made it to the top of WCP3. Woo! Second summit of the trip. Took about 40 minutes to get up here from the saddle between 1 and 3, and the traverse to 2 is going to be a pretty wild experience, especially here starting it in the dark. All right, just coming off of 3, making our way up 2.
2 is the first one where we were finally chasing that thrill we came for. We were in exposed areas, we were doing some actual scrambling.
Where are we at, Ryan?
We are on the summit of White Cloud Peak number 2, 10,271 feet, in our 3rd summit of the trip so far. We've got 1 and 3 done back there, and the rest of our trip will be spent over yonder.
All right, descending off of WCP2. Heading down to Swim Lake. That'll be our last water for the day. After that, we gotta climb 4, 5, and 6 before we see our next water.
It was pretty rewarding after 2 summits that morning to get to a nice place for water.
WCP4. We're climbing that one next.
It was nice to decompress a little since we still had 4, 5, and 6 to take on that same day. So we knew it was going to be a long one.
All right, we are making our push back out of the Swim Lake Basin up to the 4-5 saddle. Just picking a line and seeing if it goes.
Climbing out of the Swim Lake Basin was a grind, but then we had to scramble our way across the rugged, obstacle-ridden ridgeline between 4 and 5. All this before even starting the full climb up White Cloud Peak 4. By the time we'd reached the summit, it felt like we'd climbed it twice.
Well, 4 seemingly won't end. Brutal. Alright, we're on the last false summit of White Cloud Peak 4. Now I gotta drop down there, climb that bad boy. That was our ascent line out of the Swim Lake Basin. Got to that bench and started along the ridge line until it got pretty gnarly and we bailed lower. Summit of White Cloud Peak 4! 10,450 feet, the 4th summit of the trip.
From 4, you can see all but one of the summits we were gonna do. We'd already had a couple under our belt, but it really gave us that like foreshadow of like, all right, you're here and this is what's left to do.
How was the climb up 4?
Yeah, it kind of sucked.
Yeah, it kind of sucked.
But that's how all the peaks have been so far.
Yeah.
We wanted to stay high on the ridge to get closer to 5, but after too many obstacles, it just wasn't efficient. We got to do an awesome ski down and got into Iron Basin, which was truly a treat because we found a great little lunch spot, and it actually set us up for what we think was a better route up 5 anyways.
Yeah, it really just got another taste of what the White Clouds have to offer that wasn't directly on the ridge.
5 was one of the few mountains where 90% of the time as you're looking at it, it's like, how am I gonna climb that mountain? Just like so jagged and so rocky. Like every mountain, there is a weakness, and the closer you get to it, the more obvious that becomes.
All right, we just made it to the saddle between the 2 White Cloud Peak 5s. The true one will be up here, a class 4 climb. And when we're back down from that, it looks like we might be able to get the other summit.
5 was one of the ones I was a little nervous about because from the limited data we had on this trip, we had like a very small marginal rating on what these peaks were with no route connected to that rating. WCP5 is one of the 4th class rated routes.
The unknown is what we're chasing out here, but you definitely feel the nerves each time you're tested in a new way. So we were stoked when we got to the top of 5.
Woo-hoo! Here on the summit of White Cloud Peak number 5, 10,597 feet.
Didn't spend too much time up there, but then safely down climbed back to the saddle, quickly nabbed the 2nd summit.
And then continue down the ridgeline towards 6.
Definitely the easiest of them so far. Top of White Cloud Peak number 6.
10,256 feet.
Woo! High five. Oh, we're making our way down to the lake and we've got one more obstacle. Blowdown City. As you can see, the tents are set up. My card filled up, so we missed that, but you get the gist.
Camp at Elkalkins Lake was a needed break. After nearly 16 hours of climbing mountains, we were ready to rest our weary legs, get some water back into us, enjoy a good meal, and get to sleep.
Got up pretty early, did our typical breakfast coffee, and set up before the sun rose. We were able to make our way back up to the saddle above Calkins Lake and Iron Basin, right as the sun was starting to rise, first light, which is really pretty.
Alright, from here you can see our entire day. We're gonna head up 7. From 7 we'll cross over to 8, which you see right there. And then we'll be taking that ridge up to DOE. And White Cloud Peaks behind it. right on 7.
Alright, Collin, where are we at?
We're on the top of the 7th White Cloud Peak, 10,777 feet.
After having 7 summits done, it felt like getting to 10 was going to be really easy. I mean, 7 done, 3 to go. What could go wrong? And here's our day's work. Look at this.
Might be the easiest miles of the entire trip. Alright, starting to make our way closer to 8. Alright, here we are. Final push up 8.
Collin, where are we at?
Top of White Cloud Peak 8, 10,557 feet. We'll now follow this ridge up to Dioli Peak. See on the left, and also nab what's known as White Cloud Peaks, the little promontory on the right as well. After making great strides to stay up on the ridge, even doing an unnecessary Class 5 bypass, we eventually got stumped, cliffed out. At which point we then had to just choose a random gully down. And the thing about choosing the gullies, you can't see where it goes from the top. So, a bit of a sketchy scree descent up through there where Ryan is. I'm more in the clear now. And unfortunately, we're gonna lose a lot more off this mountain than we'd like to. Next, we gotta climb all the way back up there. All right, we did push onward, but again got cliffed out. So we ended up dropping all the way down. Fortunately, that means we now have to find a new route up these cliff bands and up to Dioli. And now we're just blindly choosing which gully is the right gully to reascend, which is going to be a super painful and arduous job, but hopefully it goes. Well, this has been the shittiest part of the trip so far. Finally made it to the saddle. That's the ridge line we avoided. Covered all that. But man, we were on 8 like 4 or 5 hours ago now. And still gotta climb up there. $11,342 feet. Ow, ow! Well, after a long, arduous effort, we finally made it to the top of Dioli Peak, the first 11,000 footer of our trip, not the last. And next, we're going for a little bit extra credit, which is White Cloud Peaks. Not really sure at all what that climb will entail, but we're about to go find out. Wish us luck. Ryan paused for a moment to let me
I got to the point where I was like, I'm not going up this.
White Cloud Peaks. Woo! What a sketchy climb. White Cloud Peaks, got them all. Highest one right here, second highest over there. Got them both. I just long smooth descent off this thing, and then it seems as though we might be able to nab a goat trail to get us down. The day is over. Got everything done that we need to get done, and we are right below 9, our first objective for tomorrow. Not a bad place to call home for the night.
Tequila!
We filtered all of our water from the snow melt.
Yeah, we spent like an hour and a half filtering water. We filtered like 12 liters or something.
And then, you know, enjoyed dinner, enjoyed the view. Yeah, really just soaked it up for a while. Up at 4 for what we expect to be our final day. Woo! WCP9, baby. Woo! We knew we would have the class 4 step coming off 9, so that was where the next question mark will lie.
This was our first taste of solid rock. Big, big boulders of just solid playground. All right, where are we at?
We're on the highest peak of the whole route. Calvin, 11,487. Woo-hoo! WCP9, DOE, White Cloud Peaks.
White Cloud Peak 10 kind of loomed in the back of our minds for the entire trip, because from what we knew, it had the potential to be the crux of the trip.
It was definitely nerve-wracking, leaving what we presumed to be the hardest peak of the entire trip for last. Thankfully, before starting the trip, we received some last-minute beta, which suggests the opportunity to drop into a separate basin to ascend the mountain, which we decided to go for.
We never really intended to be in this basin, so I never looked at it on satellite. There's definitely snow, so hopefully that doesn't cause too much of an issue. Woo! Back on the ridgeline of 10. Our route worked so far. All right, we're making it happen. We're gonna get to 10. See Ryan working the ridgeline. WCP9 and DLE back there behind him. Top of WCP10, baby. We've done it all. Crest to the summit of 10. Woo! Yeah.
Beautiful White Cloud Peak 10, towering over Sheep Lake. Feels good to have that one behind us. 10 peaks, 1 ridgeline, no trail. We came here with an idea, a line on a map, a challenge without a blueprint. And now, standing at the end of it, we know something that we didn't before. We learned that some lines hold up in reality, and some have to be rewritten in the moment. That the unknown isn't an obstacle, it's an invitation. That the best routes aren't always the cleanest, the fastest, or the easiest. They're the ones that test you, shape you, and leave you changed.
All right, we made it to our exit, the Big Boulder Creek Trailhead. 37.7 miles, 16,804 feet gained. White Cloud Mountains, you are beautiful.
The true spirit of adventure.